Humans might not be the tallest living beings on Earth, but there are quite a few of them who make giants seem real. The average person rarely grows beyond 6 feet, and yet there exist men and women with record-breaking heights. Among the billions of people inhabiting this planet, it's kind of impossible not to stand out when you're above 8 feet tall and towering over almost everyone. This kind of height comes with its own advantages and disadvantages, so the exceptionally tall people have to deal with both. Join us as we look at 15 real-life giants who exist today. Number 1. Sultan Kösen. Kösen is a Turkish farmer who was born in December of 1982 in a village in Turkey. The man holds the Guinness World Record for being the tallest man alive in the entire world. Sultan Kösen is a whopping 8 foot 2.82 inches tall. He is of Kurdish ethnicity, and despite being above 8 feet tall, he's the 7th tallest man known in history. As a child, Sultan was unable to complete his studies because of his increasing height, so instead he began working as a farmer part-time. His abnormal growth was the result of a medical condition known as gigantism and acromegaly, caused by a tumor that affected his pituitary gland. Because of this condition, Sultan uses crutches to walk. According to him, being this tall allows him to see a great distance, and he can easily help his family and friends with domestic tasks such as changing light bulbs and hanging curtains. But with pros, there are also cons, like not being able to find appropriately sized clothing, especially because his limbs are so long. He also struggles to find shoes that fit, and his hands are the longest measured in a living person at 11.2 inches, so finding gloves for him is a real challenge. It's also very obvious that he finds it difficult to fit into any average-sized car. Kösen received gamma knife treatment for his tumor and was also provided with medication to control his excessive growth hormone levels in 2012, and it was confirmed that the treatment effectively stopped his growth. He then married a Syria-born woman named Merve Debo in October of 2013, who is about 10 years younger than him, but they ended up getting divorced in 2021. Number 2. Rumeysa Gelgi. Rumeysa Gelgi was born in January of 1997, and she's currently the tallest living woman in the world. She is a Turkish advocate, researcher, and freelance front-end developer. She was homeschooled her entire life and was announced as the tallest living teenager in the world in 2014. 7 years later, in October of 2021, she was announced as the tallest woman by the Guinness World Records. The 25-year-old also holds a number of other records, which includes the longest fingers, the largest hands, and the longest back on a living woman. She is 7 foot 0.71 inches tall. Gelgi lives in Turkey, and her abnormal height is the result of a condition called Weaver's syndrome. This is a rare disease which includes rapid growth hormone production amongst other abnormalities. It actually affects men 3 times more than it does women. As a child, she had to undergo open heart surgery due to congenital heart diseases when she was just 1 year old. Rumeysa uses a wheelchair to move around because of her condition, but she can walk for short periods of time with the help of a walker. She also requires a special seat in order to be able to sit down, and according to her, despite the challenges that she faces because of her height, she's grateful for being the way that she is. She also wishes to use her title to raise awareness of diseases and conditions like hers. In November of 2033, Gelgi was able to fly on a plane for the very first time in her life, thanks to the efforts of Turkish Airlines. They ended up removing 6 rows of chairs from one of their planes in order to ensure that she had a comfortable flight from Istanbul to San Francisco, and they then replaced the seats with a special stretcher just for her. Number 3. Zainab Bibi. Zainab Bibi is from Pakistan and was the tallest woman in Pakistan with a reported height of 7 feet and 2 inches. She was named the tallest woman in the Guinness Book of World Records in 2004 and had been suffering from diabetes, hypertension, and osteoporosis for years. She was under treatment for a kidney ailment when she passed away in 2018 at the age of 46 years old. According to her relatives, her height began increasing rapidly at the age of 15, and by the time that she had reached 20, she was 7 feet 2 inches tall. She would first be noticed when popular television show host Tariq Aziz invited her to his new show in 1998. After she was declared the tallest woman by Guinness World Records, She was then invited to a number of countries, visiting 15 of them, which included France, Germany, and the UK. Sanaa Bibi had mentioned her terrible financial conditions in an interview that she had given to a private news channel and said that she was struggling to make ends meet because of her illness. She remained single until her death, as her height and medical conditions were a hurdle in her personal, intimate life. Number 4. Andre the Giant. Andre Rene Roussimoff is better known by his in-ring name, Andre the Giant. He was a French professional wrestler and famous actor for his exceptional size. Born in May of 1946, Andre suffered from gigantism that was caused by an excess production of growth hormone. He was also called the eighth wonder of the world by all of his fans and began his career in 1966, later relocating to North America in 1971. From 1973 all throughout the mid-80s, Roussimoff wrestled for a promotion throughout the United States as a special attraction for the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, later to be known as the WWF. During the wrestling boom of the 1980s, he became the mainstay for the company. His feud with Hulk Hogan would also help to attract public attention, especially when he defeated Hogan to win the WWF Championship in 1988. Roussimoff was a whopping 7 foot 4 inches tall, weighing in at 236 kilograms. His WWF career wound down after WrestleMania 6 in 1990. He then wrestled primarily for All Japan Pro Wrestling until his sudden death in 1993. He would become the inaugural inductee of the WWF Hall of Fame after he had died, and he also tried his luck in acting, appearing in various movies and television, which included The Princess Bride, Zorro, The Greatest American Hero, and Conan the Destroyer. In 1974, the Guinness Book of World Records would mention him as the then highest-paid wrestler in history, with an annual salary of around $400,000. He died at the age of 46 due to congestive heart failure in his sleep at a hotel in Paris and left his estate to his sole beneficiary, his daughter Robin Christensen. Number 5. Morteza Mirzad. Morteza Mirzad was born in September of 1987 in Iran. He's an Iranian volleyball player and plays for the national sitting volleyball team and the team of Messhar Babak. With a height of 8 foot 1 inches, Morteza is famous as the tallest living man in Iran and second tallest living man in the world. He suffers from a rare medical condition called acromegaly that's triggered by excessive production of growth hormone in the pituitary gland of the brain. He was over 6 feet 2 inches tall at just the age of 16, and when he was 15, he got into a bicycle accident and suffered serious pelvic fracture. Because of this accident, his right leg would stop growing, so now it's around 15 centimeters shorter than his left. The Iran national head coach would spot his talent in 2011 after watching a television program that featured unusual and differently abled people, of which Morteza was a part. He immediately got in touch with him and convinced him to play sitting volleyball. After selection for the national team and undergoing training, he then finally made his international debut in 2016 at the Paralympics qualifiers. He was then selected for the national team and eventually went on to compete in the 2016 Summer Paralympics sitting volleyball final, in which he was the top scorer with 28 points for Iran. Morteza won the gold medal at the 2016 Summer Paralympics, and then again he won 2 gold medals and the Golden Ball for the best player in the world in 2022. Number 6. Yao Defen. Yao Defen was born in 1972 to a poor family of farmers in China. She was recognized as the tallest living woman by the Guinness Book of World Records, standing at a height of 7 foot 8 inches and weighed around 157 kilograms. Yao is recorded as the third tallest woman in history, just 5 inches shorter than Xing Jinlin, the tallest woman known in history. Her extraordinary stature was caused by gigantism, a condition in which a tumor in the pituitary gland causes excessive growth hormone. She was 6 foot 11 inches tall by the age of 15. Doctors who diagnosed her condition refused to treat her as her family was unable to afford the surgery. She was illiterate, so she then traveled around with her father performing for money. Around the year 2002, her tumor would finally be removed in a hospital in Guangdong. She appeared on the TLC cable TV network in 2009, and according to reports, she fell in her house and suffered internal bleeding, but eventually recovered. She passed away at the age of 40 due to an unknown ailment in 2012. By the time of her death, she lived in a house that she shared with her mother in a small village. Number 7. Igor Vovkavinsky. Igor Vovkavinsky, also known as Igor Landin, was a Ukrainian-American law student and actor. He was born in September of 1982 in Ukraine and also bagged the world record for being the tallest living person in the United States at 7 foot 8.33 inches tall. He is originally from the Ukraine and moved to Rochester, Minnesota in 1989 to receive treatment at the Mayo Clinic. Back then, he was at least 6 feet tall. He also acted in a few films and commercials, such as the comedy Hall Pass, rising to fame when pictures of him wearing a t-shirt that read "World's Biggest Obama Supporter" went viral at a Barack Obama rally. He was the first person to become the tallest living person in 2 separate countries, and also joined singer Zlata Ognovich in representing Ukraine in the Eurovision Song Contest in 2013. When he was 27 years old, he then traveled to New York and was declared America's tallest living person by a Guinness World Records adjudicator on the show. His abnormal height was attributed to a tumor pressing on his pituitary gland, which causes an increased amount of growth hormone. Igor would announce that he was undergoing treatment for a heart condition in 2019 and then passed away in 2021 after remaining hospitalized for heart disease at the age of 38. Number 8. Robert Waldau. Robert Pershing Waldau was the tallest person in recorded history for whom there is undeniable evidence. Also known as Alton the Giant and the Giant of Illinois, he was born in 1918 in Alton, Illinois. Waldau was a whopping 8 foot 11.1 inches tall, weighing around 199 kilograms at the time of his death. Oldest of 5 siblings, Robert was taller than his father by the time that he was 8 years old. A special desk had to be constructed for him in elementary school, and he was 8 foot 4 inches tall by the time that he graduated from high school. Afterwards, he would enroll in Shurtleff College to study law. Waldau required leg braces in order to walk and didn't have a lot of feeling in his legs and feet. Despite that, though, he never used a wheelchair. He became a celebrity in 1936 when he did a U.S. tour with the Ringling Brothers Circus, appearing at Madison Square Garden and Boston Garden in the center ring. Robert refused to wear a top hat and tails for his circus appearances. He also did a promotional tour with the international show company that provided him shoes free of charge. He wanted to be known as a person working in advertising, not being exhibited as a freak. Waldau belonged to the Order of the Demale, the Masonic-sponsored organization for young men, and also become a Freemason later. During a professional appearance in July of 1940, the Manistee National Forest Festival, a faulty brace irritated his ankle and caused an infection. He then had to undergo a blood transfusion and surgery, but because of an autoimmune disorder, his condition deteriorated and he passed away in his sleep. Even his coffin was massive at over 10 feet, and he had to be carried by 12 pallbearers and 8 assistants. In 1986, a life-size statue of Robert would be erected opposite of the Alton Museum of History and Art as a tribute to him. Number 9. Neil Fingleton. Neil Fingleton was born in December of 1980 in Durham, and he was an English actor and basketball player. Fingleton was the tallest British-born man and also the tallest man in the European Union at 7 foot 7.56 inches tall. He's considered amongst the 25 tallest men in the world. His title as the tallest man was confirmed by Guinness World Records in the summer of 2007. After attending a basketball camp in Connecticut at the age of 16, Fingleton decided to attend high school in the United States. He moved to Worcester, Massachusetts, and began attending Holy Name Central Catholic High School, from where he graduated in 2000. He helped the Holy Name basketball team to the Central Massachusetts Division I title and a berth in the Massachusetts final game in 1999. Fingleton was also granted a basketball scholarship to the United States and initially played at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, later at the College of the Holy Cross in Worcester. He underwent back surgery in August of 2000 and earned a medical red shirt from North Carolina. He graduated from college in 2004 with a degree in history, and his professional debut was in the 2004 and 5 season with the Boston Frenzy of the ABA. He then continued to play until 2007 when an injury would force him to retire. Afterwards, he returned to Durham in order to make a career in show business. He appeared in a number of hit television shows and films, which included Game of Thrones, Doctor Who, Jupiter Ascending, and X-Men: The First Class. Fingleton then passed away in February of 2017 at the age of 36 due to heart failure. Number 10. Sun Mingming. Sun Mingming is a former professional basketball player who's from China. He holds the record for being the tallest professional basketball player in the world. Measured by the Guinness World Records, his height is 7 feet 9 inches, and he weighs around 168 kilograms. Born in a small town in China, Mingming began playing basketball at the age of 15. He attended a community college known as Ventura College in California, playing basketball there for the 2005 and 2006 season. Afterwards, he then moved on to play professional basketball. Sun would be diagnosed with a benign tumor that was attached to his pituitary gland back in 2005. Because he didn't have health insurance or the money to pay for his medical bills, his sports agent initiated a fundraiser to collect the money for his surgery. The tumor would be successfully removed in September of 2005. Sun played for numerous American minor league teams like the Dodge City Legends, the Maryland Nighthawks, and the Grand Rapids Flight, but he also played in the Mexican League with Fuerza Regis and a league in Japan with Hamamatsu Phoenix. Later on in 2009, he would return to China and played for the Beijing Ducks in the Chinese Basketball Association. Mingming also appeared in some television shows and films like Rush Hour 3 and a Chinese show called Candle in the Tomb. He would be married to a woman who is 6 foot 3 inches tall, and together they're recognized as the tallest living married couple by the Guinness World Records with a combined height of 13 feet 10.72 inches. Number 11. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal is often referred to as Shaq. He's a former American basketball player who's currently a sports analyst on a television program called Inside the NBA. Shaq is regarded as one of the best basketball players and centers of all time. He stands 7 foot 1 inch tall and weighs around 147 kilos. He's a 4-time NBA champion and played for 6 teams in his 19-year-long career in the NBA. O'Neal was born in 1973 in Newark, New Jersey, and his father, Joe Toney, also played high school basketball, but due to his involvement with drugs, he went to jail when O'Neal was just an infant. Shaq comes from a tall family. His father was 6 foot 2 inches and his mother was 6 foot 1, and by the time that O'Neal was 13, he was already 6 foot 6. He credits the Boys and Girls Club of America in Newark for providing him a safe space to play. He began playing basketball at Robert G. Cole High School at the age of 16 and helped his team to go on to win the state championship. His tendency to make hook shots earned him comparisons to the legendary Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. O'Neal also wore the same number as Jabbar, and his professional career began in 1993 when he was drafted to the Orlando Magic in the 1992 NBA Draft. After 2 decades of ups and downs along with injuries, Shaq finally announced his retirement in June of 2011. He's also appeared in a number of films and television shows, such as Off to School, Shaq Life, and Grown Ups 2. Number 12. Ekaterina Lysina. Ekaterina Lysina is a Russian model and former basketball player. She currently holds a Guinness World Record for being the tallest professional model at 6 foot 9 inches tall. However, this is not her only world record. She also holds the title of the woman with the longest legs at 4 foot 4 inches. Both of her records are noted in the Guinness World Records in 2018. She's also been officially recognized for having the largest feet amongst women in Russia. As a professional basketball player, Ekaterina competed for the Russian national team at the 2008 Summer Olympics and won the bronze medal. The 35-year-old was born in Russia and weighs around 110 kilograms. Besides modeling, she also works as a cosplayer and has portrayed Lady Dimitrushka, the antagonist in Resident Evil Village. She's also a social media celebrity, and in November of 2022, her social media following surpassed 10 million followers. She's garnered more than 117 million likes on her socials. She's a follower of Hinduism now and has become vegetarian after converting. Her unusual stature can be attributed to family genetics, as not a single person in her family is below 6 feet. Number 13. Sandy Allen. Sandy Elaine Allen was an American woman who was recognized by the Guinness World Records as the tallest woman in the world. She was born in Chicago in June of 1955 and was 7 feet 7 inches tall. Allen wrote a book titled Cast a Giant Shadow, and over the years, other women have taken the title of the tallest woman, but Allen alone held it for the last 16 years of her life. Her abnormal height would be caused by a tumor in her pituitary gland, which led to an uncontrolled release of growth hormone. Sandy grew up in Shelbyville, Indiana, and was raised by her grandmother, who worked as a cleaning lady. When she was just 22 years old, she underwent surgery to have the tumor removed, and if she hadn't gotten it resected, Allen may have likely continued to grow and suffer from other medical issues associated with gigantism. Sandy also appeared in television shows and films, which included Fellini's Casanova, Sideshow, and a documentary film called Being Different. She never got married as she considered herself an old-fashioned girl and was not willing to date a man who was shorter than her. In the later years of her life, Allen would use a wheelchair, as her legs and back were no longer able to support her weight while standing. She was also bedridden at one point due to disease, which led to atrophy in her muscles. Sandy spent her final years in a retirement center in Shelbyville until she passed away in August of 2008. According to her family, she suffered from a recurring blood infection, type 2 diabetes, breathing problems, and renal failure. Number 14. Oliver Richter. Oliver Richter is a Dutch bodybuilder, actor, model, and the founder and CEO of Muscle Meat. Richter is famous for his exceptional stature and physique. He is 7 foot 2 inches tall and was also the cover model of the November 2018 Netherlands edition of Men's Health. Richter would be featured in a documentary by the same magazine, and because of his size, he maintains a daily caloric intake of 5,000 for filming and between 6,500 to 7,000 calories for any other tasks during a 24-hour period. He takes 7 meals in a day, along with an oat shake that's made of ultra-fine pats blended with a whey scoop. Richter was born with a condition called pectus excavatum, which caused his bones to grow in a way in such that they squeezed the cardiac muscle. His heart was 20% smaller than it should have been, so he underwent a procedure that involved breaking his ribs in order to allow the lungs and heart to grow. He's appeared in several films, which include Black Widow, The King's Man, and Louis Wayne. He is all set to star in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny in 2023. Richter holds the record for being the tallest professional bodybuilder as of 2011. Number 15. Siddiqa Parveen. Siddiqa Parveen is an Indian woman who is currently listed as the tallest living woman by the Guinness World Records. She's also the tallest Indian woman in recorded history, and Parveen is 7 feet 8 inches tall. She would be born in 1986 in West Bengal, India, and she first became famous when India TV News would report her to be 8 feet tall in 2013. She weighed a whopping 160 kilograms. In December of 2012, Parveen was measured lying down by Dr. Debasi Shah, who found her to be 7 foot 3.5 inches, but her upright height was estimated to be 7 foot 8 inches. Siddiqa suffers from gigantism, which is caused by a giant invasive tumor in the pituitary gland, and because of her height and associated medical conditions, she was homebound and helpless for almost 15 ongoing years until she finally underwent surgery at the Premier Hospital. According to doctors, this was the first one of multiple steps in her road to complete recovery. Besides the